Hello. So back to the Halloween journal. I spent the day yesterday making a whole bunch of ephemera to go in the journal. We're going to do sort of a journal come folio sort of effort. And I've had some thoughts about the layout. So first and foremost, I've got these little pockets that I've just, these are digitals that came with one of the kits, little tucks and pockets. So they're going to get glued in. I will quickly whiz through that. Obviously that's just a glassine envelope I'm going to use as a pocket. I'll quickly whiz through all the bits and pieces. There's lots of original ephemera that we'll be adding in, so I'll keep that all separate. That's the little photo card. Lots of handmade tags and bits and pieces. We've got some old cards. We've got a vintage book page there from a medical dictionary. Some of the cabinet cards that were up for consideration for the front, I'm now going to just add in as ephemera. I just think they're quite nice and could be put to use by whoever ends up with the journal. Lots of Tim Holtz, you'll notice, and then lots of uses of original pieces as well. So we've got a good selection there, I think. Now, I've had a thought about the layout. Now, this is what we've got. So we've got 2 paper signatures, as you get with a journal. And then we've got this, which I decided to sort of expand the folio element. I created this. Now, this is the inner sort of signature that I'd created. I need to trim down slightly because it's getting caught. Even though it's supposed to fit perfectly, it keeps getting caught. So I'm just going to trim that little top. But I added some Tim Holtz papers as a little plain journal. I'm going to put some bits and pieces in here and just sort of clip them in and what have you. A little bit like how I would decorate the signatures. So that's going to be stuck down in there. Well, probably stitched in, I imagine, unless I do stick it down. But yeah, I'll probably stitch this into this folio. I've got some textured Tim Holtz wallpapers that I'm going to use to just mat these two, and probably add some sort of pocket or something there. Now, originally I thought, do I glue this here to this side? Do I stitch it in like a signature? But alas, I'm going to leave these 2 as signatures, and I'm actually going to use it to fill this pocket. So we're going to have that and that. And then because we've got this big fabric pocket on the back, I'm going to stick with the same theme. And I've made a pocket to go here. So that's kind of how we're going to have it. I like the grungy elements. I like the spooky. I like the rust tones. It's actually avocado dyed fabrics that I'd done a long time ago. So that will be the front. And then I've got sort of this little setup. Again, carrying on the rusty themes and lots of layered laces and such. And that's going to be the front. So I'm quite chuffed with that. It's going to be big, but hey, why not? Why not? So that's my thinking at the moment. I've got lots of layered, very old antique laces that I've sort of pulled and just sort of layered together. These are going to be glued to the front. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a needle through this. And if I do, I don't want to ruin the inside. I certainly don't want to stitch the pocket shut. So although I might tack it with 1 or 2 stitches, I can't. There's no way I could hand sew all this on here. And machine stitching is just going to, yeah, it's just not for me. Not for this style of journal. So this is what I'm thinking. Yeah, what do you think? I quite like. I lift this back off. That's obviously going to be the last bit to add on. But I think this means that this is then a removable element, so it can be taken out if you don't want it. And although we're still left with quite a great big whopping space around the signatures, you can add into it. That's kind of the point. And I've been dying to use this mat for ages. The tones and the textures are brilliant. The colours and the staining are brilliant. We've covered up the branding. Sorry, Tim. But I'd never used it, so why not? Why the hell not? Now, my next thoughts are how to bind these. Now, I'm thinking about binding them to a piece of fabric and then gluing that in here, I think, is my thought. So that's going to be my next step, and then I can go through and decorate all of my pages and add in all the ephemera and stuff. We've got, again, neutral, grungy tones and colour palette with the rust elements throughout, and the sort of, what do they call the greeny sort of tannalized colour, like this sort of colour. There's a word for it, it escapes me at the moment, but those sorts of colours, with the rust, the avocado dyed stuff. I just think it's, yeah, I like it. So that's where we're at, and I'm going to construct the journal now, and then we'll come back for the decorating.